So I have a quote to start us off here. Goes like this. Yes, people pull the trigger, but guns are the instrument of death. Gun control is necessary, and delay means more death and horror. Eliot Spitzer, sort of a gun control activist, and just want to start things off with saying gun control has become sort of a hot topic in debate in the recent years. Not necessarily because people want to spontaneously debate gun control, but because it's an actual rising issue. There's statistics to show that gun control and gun violence have been on the rise since 2007. And the sooner we stop ignoring problems which are apparent and are also growing, the sooner we can enact real laws to stop these problems. Pro-gun activists say that gun control isn't necessary, and the problems that gun control activists say are there aren't real. But really, it's the other way around. Statistics can back me up here, and we'll see that later on, that gun control is a necessary means for a very real problem. I want to give you guys a definition of gun control just so we can be clear here. Definition of gun control is defined as regulation in selling and owning of any gun. Cool, that's all I have.
All right, I'm going to start off with a little quote also. To conquer a nation, first disarm its citizens. And this is Adolf Hitler when he was trying to take over the world during World War II. And what we're trying to, or his point was that we need to, they're like the rising rates of gun crimes, we can stop by using gun control. But what really happens is, to really prevent gun crimes is you can't, excuse me,
Quiet, please.
to prevent gun crimes, it's not necessary to increase gun control. And I think he defined the main words that would need to be defined. And yeah, that was so bad.
All right, guys, get up there, crossfire. Crossfire
Right.
for, I
I
think, a
wasn't ready
minute.
to.
Crossfire this.
Yep.
Do I go up there too?
Yeah.
Go up there.
Okay.
1 minute.
All right. Honestly, I didn't think you added any new points.
Could you get closer? I can't
Honestly,
get you.
I don't think you added any new points to your debate, so really, you left it open for me to just say I pretty much won that last round. You agree, right?
Well, you did bring up some points, but you had no statistics to back it up, so like you could have been lying the whole time.
I got some statistics if you want to hear it.
Oh shit.
Okay.
Let's see here. So, a lot of people say that there's no link between stricter gun control and less violence, but that's false. Economist Richard Florida disproved this theory by finding a strong correlation in the link between harsh regulations and fewer deaths. This means that, oh, and if you want to know more about that, there's a little map for you. So basically the map shows, as you guys can see, there is an actual correlation between gun control and fewer deaths in the states that have stricter gun control laws. For example, Wyoming is one of the highest gun violence, has one of the highest gun violence rates of all the states, and it has one of the lowest gun control laws, or number of laws in the United States of all the states. So,
Well, see, part of the points I discussed earlier is that gun control doesn't actually help gun crimes, and I don't really believe your statistics because you don't have that much to back it up. You only have one person, and according to the United States Archive, the 31 states that have more gun control than the others have a 25% higher crime rate in those states.
what's the source for that?
U.S. Archive.
U.S. Archives.
Yeah.
What do they deal with?
Just like everything. Just like statistics. And
All right, that's time.
Just like everything.
All right.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Lego? Okay, so Tom Mosher, father of the
boy who was lost in the Columbine shooting, believes that the public has grown numb to mass shootings. People say, how tragic, and then they move on. They're told by their governor, their political leaders, that there's no solution, so they don't see a solution. But there is a solution out there, and it's taking guns out of the hands of the criminals. I believe increasing gun control will have a positive effect on the gun violence issue. Gun control, by definition, is regulation of selling, owning, and use of guns. School shootings, crimes, murders, robberies, all these crimes use guns and would not happen if the guns were not in the hands of these people. A ban on guns would eliminate the problem altogether. Do you feel that? That's your moral outrage dissipating. While you may still have raw feelings from the recent shooting in Ferguson, or the Columbine shooting high school, Aurora, Arapahoe High School, Flat Canyon High School, or Deer Creek Junior High School, and Moy Junior High School shootings, being residents of Colorado should really hit home, both literally and figuratively. Colorado has been the victim of many shootings. In fact, if you were to type shootings into the Google search bar, the second thing that comes up is shootings in Colorado. If you combine the populations of Great Britain, France, Germany, Japan, Switzerland, Sweden, Denmark, and Australia, you'll get a population roughly the size of the United States. We had 30,000 gun deaths last year, and they had 112. The difference between them and us is not that Americans are more violent. It is because they have strict gun control laws. To this you may say, if more citizens have gun control, then we will be protected and be able to stop crimes. There's a strong correlation between high levels of gun ownership and high firearm homicide rates. The American Journal of Public Health reports that they did not find that states with higher rates of gun ownership have disproportionately large numbers of deaths from firearm-related crimes. Additionally, after looking at data from all 50 states from 1981 to 2010, the journal determined that gun ownership is a significant predictor of how much homicide related to firearms is going to be. Every time the gun ownership increases by a percentage, the firearm homicide rate goes up by 0.9%. A study in the American Journal of Public Health said that researchers that found individuals that in possession of a gun are more likely to get shot than individuals who don't possess guns. The study concluded that armed civilians will stop crimes. Well, according to a Philadelphia study, it says, although successful defensive gun uses occur each year, the probability of success may be low for civilian gun users in urban areas. Such users should reconsider their possession of guns, or at least understand that regular possession of necessities, careful safety countermeasures. Just kidding.
Alex,
So the violent crime rates actually go down when more people legally carry guns. Right to carry laws have been on the rise in the U.S. since the early 1990s, and at the same time, violent crime rates have decreased. The number of privately owned guns has risen by about 100 million, according to the NRP, and through 2010, the nation's murder rate has decreased 52% to a 47-year low, and the total violent crime rate has decreased 48% to a 37-year low. Widely supported gun bans don't determine crime. The federal assault weapons ban, signed by President Bill Clinton in 1994, expired and has not been enough to support or be renewed. The NRP and us also argue that the research shows that assault weapons, or those certain semi-automatic guns designed in the ban, have never been used in more than small percentages of firearm-related violent crimes. With gun control, crime rates can also go up because some people will not get the general protection that they need.
Okay, so you said that that homicide rates have gone down since when?
1990.
Did you know that some of the most deadliest 2007, and because the gun ownership has been on the rise since then.
Most at least.
You got anything?
Well, can you tell me what source you have to back that up?
Back this up.
Your statement.
The School of Public Health at the State University of New York Downstate Medical Center School.
Okay.
The state school.
Okay. You said that the. Okay, so you said that the. Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. Okay. You said that guns could like potentially prevent crime. Can you
No, I didn't say that. I said that because a reason that people who might want less gun control, they might say a reason that you should have less gun control is that civilians can have guns and possess guns to stop crimes. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that shouldn't happen because it's not true.
What's next?
Speaker 1, Speaker 2, summary. Summary.
Do we go at the same time?
No. No.
Speaker 1 summary.
All right. So the question comes up, why are we even debating about gun control or no gun control? Well, a lot of pro-gun activists say, well, they cite the Second Amendment as the main backing point for their argument, that they have the right to own any gun they choose as a citizen of the United States. Pro-gun rights groups often support this statement that they should apply a strict interpretation of the Constitution and take into account the intent of the framers or writers of the Constitution. This means that we should look at how the Constitution is written and the intent that the writers had when they wrote the law or when they wrote the amendment itself. So I'm really not against this point of view, and I do believe that the Constitution is a useful set of guidelines for the making of laws in our country. Has served us really well so far. If I were to take the advice of pro-gun advocates and if I were to look into the frame of mind that the writers of these amendments had when they wrote them, I would see that the right to own and bear arms was written in 1789, meaning that at the time only flint stock and lead ball projectiles were used. So very, very, very unadvanced types of gun weaponry. Now, I honestly see that going back to just allowing 1789 kinds of weaponry isn't a viable option, since all sorts of way more advanced guns are already out in the public. However, I do find it interesting that pro-gun advocates cite the Second Amendment in defense of lax gun control laws and have also not properly assessed the meaning of the amendment from the point of view and the time it was written.
I bet Miss Hunt is jealous right now.
All right.
Yeah, she got the group.
So part of the reason most people want gun control is to decrease the crime rate and the gun crime rates that they think that it causes. And while they think this is not true, in Britain, in 1996, 1996 and 2002, after they banned all guns for citizen use, murder rates went up 1.2 people in every 100,000 after this, according to Cato Institute. And not only does it, gun control, not stop deaths. It also gives, like, not having gun control helps you protect yourself from a too strict government and one that will take your rights away. And this is seen as in many like rebellious nations where the government has like a dictatorship or something, and there's no guns, and they try to do a revolution, but the civilians are not armed and they are killed in massive numbers. And then also to protect yourself from other countries like invading. And during World War II, Britain was getting bombed in the Battle of Britain by thousands of British airplanes, and Germany was going to try to invade Britain by land after they bombed them. But because Britain had so many civilian guns in their possession, Germany decided to not invade them because they did not think that they'd be able to take over their military plus the civilians. And this is by the National Archives of the UK. And this actually led to one of the best wins and most memorable wins of World War II, leading to the victory of the Allies. Also, another example of that, the Cold War against the USSR, the National Archives of the Soviet Russia say that when they were invading, or they were debating invading the US, the last place they would invade was Texas, just because the gun possession in the civilians is so high that they would not think they'd be able to take over Texas itself, just because the civilians would be able to act up and take over their military.
Grand Crossfire.